Are you here to find out about the 10 things you don't know about Johns Creek? Then you're in the right place. I've spent a lot of time the last few years in Johns Creek, and I have to tell you, it's one of the most interesting places I've ever worked and lived in. If you're looking to move into Johns Creek, I have some interesting facts for you. First, did you know that Johns Creek is a young city? The city of Johns Creek became officially recognized on December 1, 2006. As I make this recording in February of 2022, the city of Johns Creek is just a little over 15 years old. In fact, the second mayor of Johns Creek was only sworn in recently. Next up, did you know that Johns Creek doesn't have its own zip codes or post offices? I know, it's hard to believe. In most cities throughout the US has its own post office. But in Johns Creek, there is no such thing. In Johns Creek, there are no post offices or zip codes dedicated to Johns Creek. The way most residents get their postal service is through an Alpharetta or Duluth post office. And the mailing address they use includes either an Alpharetta zip code or a Duluth zip code. Many residents of Johns Creek hope that this will change at some point in the future, but for the here and now, Johns Creek doesn't have a zip code or a post office dedicated to it. Next, did you know that the city of Johns Creek has no city square, city center, or downtown area? Yes, I know, it's hard to believe. Almost every Georgia city that I know has at least a city square, city center, or a downtown area. But here in Johns Creek, it doesn't exist. Now, to be fair, Johns Creek is just over 15 years old. Johns Creek is a very young city. It's still growing, it's still finding its legs. And during the time I'm making this video, city council members are actively discussing the future of Johns Creek and what they will do with a future city center. But for now, residents of Johns Creek do not have a city center or downtown area to call their own. Next up, did you know that the land that encompasses Johns Creek today didn't used to be Fulton County? It used to be part of the now dissolved Milton County. If you ever wondered why Fulton County looks so weird on the map, especially the north side, it's because Fulton County back in the 1930s during the Great Depression absorbed the old Milton County. It's because of this adoption to take over the old Milton County back in the 1930s that we have the present day Fulton County. And that partly explains why there's a lot of differences between North Fulton County and the rest of Fulton County. Next up, did you know that the city of Johns Creek is divided up into 8 community areas? The 8 community areas of Johns Creek are Johns Creek North, OC, Technology Park, Chackaraig, Medlock, Autry Mill, Newtown, and River Estates. Each of the 8 community areas are distinct, and I have traveled in all 8 community areas. And I can tell you that each of these areas are distinct. But going into the distinctions of the 8 community areas of Johns Creek is beyond the scope of this video. Next up, did you know that the city of Johns Creek is divided up into 7 police zones or police beats, whichever term you prefer? The police zones loosely correspond to the 8 community areas of Johns Creek. But I do want to emphasize that the 8 police zones are their own thing. They just happen to loosely correspond to the 8 community areas. Another thing you might find interesting is that, did you know that there are 4 fire stations that service the city of Johns Creek? For many years, there were only 3 fire stations that serviced the city of Johns Creek. But in 2021, a new fire station was opened to help service the Johns Creek area. Now, the map I've put up is the most recent one I was able to find. It reflects the response times of the 3 fire stations and does not incorporate the response times with the 4th fire station. Next up on the technology front. Did you know that Johns Creek is one of the most internet-connected cities in Georgia? According to the US Census Quick Facts website, 99% of Johns Creek households have a computer, and 97% of Johns Creek households have broadband internet connection. These stats of households that have computers and broadband internet access are very high no matter how you look at it. It's fair to say that practically every household in Johns Creek has both a computer and internet broadband access. The next item. Did you know that Johns Creek residents are predominantly homeowners? Let me share some interesting facts with you. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the home ownership rate in the U.S. is 65.5%. In Georgia, the home ownership rate is slightly higher at 67.3%. Do you want to know what the rate of home ownership in Johns Creek is? It's a shocking 76.4%. The home ownership rate in Johns Creek is far higher than the home ownership rate at the national level and at the state level here in Georgia. Next, did you know that Johns Creek has some of the highest rated schools in Georgia? If you want to learn more about the distinctions and awards Johns Creek schools have won, I recommend that you check out this video. And while you're at it, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And if you have some interesting facts about Johns Creek that I didn't list, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.